Hello, and welcome to Life Beats Radio. I am your host, Dawn Mack, and so glad to be here with you on this Saturday evening, and thank you also for joining us and being here. It has been a great day here in the great state of North Carolina, and I hope wherever you are, it has been great as well. And I don't know, I like this time of year. School is coming to a close in a couple of weeks for my children, and my son, he's getting ready to graduate from high school this year. So it's just a big time of celebration in our lives, and a lot of things that are going on. God has richly blessed us in so many ways, and I love these periods of celebration where there's a lot to celebrate and a lot to be thankful for, although every day, even though we get storms in our lives sometimes, the storms are even something to celebrate, because we know that after the storm there will be a rainbow and that God will see us through, and good times are ahead. So right now we're just in a really good period, season of blessing, and I just praise God for that, and so very thankful for, you know, the ability to bring this show to you and be a ministry of sorts, and hope that it does lift your heart and your spirit. Today, we are going to be broadcasting a recent interview we did with Candace Cameron Bure. Now, you may know her best from Full House, where she plays the role of DJ Tanner. She's also the sister of Kirk Cameron. And tonight on GMC TV, she is going to be starring in the movie Finding Normal. It's the world premiere for the movie, and it's going to be on a couple different times, coming up in a couple hours, as a matter of fact, from now. I think the first airing starts at 7. But you will want to catch it. It's a great movie. We had the opportunity to talk with Candace earlier this week about the movie, and the reason why we don't have her live tonight is because she spent the entire week going all across the nation promoting the movie for tonight, and so she was doing a lot of back-to-back press and interviews and radio interviews. Really crazy between radio and TV for her. So there just was not any time to bring her on live, but hopefully maybe at some point down the road we can do that. But we had a great interview, and we want to bring that to you now. This is Candace Cameron Bure. Our special guest is an actress, producer, New York Times best-selling author, and inspirational speaker who is both outspoken and passionate about her family and faith. Known to millions worldwide from her role as DJ Tanner on the iconic family sitcom Full House, she continues to flourish in the entertainment industry as a role model to women of all ages. She stars in the world premiere of the upcoming television movie Finding Normal, which airs this Saturday, May 18th, on GMC TV. We are honored to welcome Candace Cameron Bure. Hello, and welcome to you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us. I want to begin by talking a little bit about your early fame. You are known to millions worldwide for your role of DJ Tanner on the hit television series Full House. And talk a little bit about how that role came about and what the experience was like for you, because you were a kid actor at that time.
I was. We kind of fell into acting. My family was not a show business family. But so I started acting at age 5 and auditioned for the part at age 10 for DJ Tanner and got the part. And, just so thankful, so blessed to have been on such a great show. And I have loved working. I love being an actress, and, that's why I'm still doing it today. But I had a really great experience growing up in the industry, mostly because my parents were very grounded and put the priority and the focus on our family and not us as child actors. So even though I was working and on a successful show, and even my brother was too, we kind of had a very normal life. Just because it wasn't, once we got home, it wasn't about work. It was about family, and that was it. So thankful to be doing what I love to be doing.
And that, it was such a great show. I know that, I enjoyed it. My children have come to enjoy it. And, even the reruns now, we're all still glued to the television set. It's just such a, I think it's well said that it is an iconic show that just is timeless. And what you guys did as a crew and a cast really put together an amazing show that I think the lessons from that show just live on because, that's what's just so timeless about it.
Exactly, it's true, and it's pretty safe to watch. That's why it's gone on for so many years, and it's so much fun to see people all over who grew up with the show when it was on prime time, and there's so many fans that come up to me today, and then I'll get lots of little kids that are watching the show for the very first time, and they think it's brand new. And, it's adorable. It's neat that it's had the longevity that it's had.
Yeah, very much so. Now, did you and the cast continue to remain in touch or have been in touch since, you were on? It was on television?
Oh, yeah. We're great friends. They're very much like a second family to me, so I'm very close to everyone. And, we hang out and see each other and support each other at events and all the time. So I always show a lot of stuff on my Facebook page or my Twitter page or my website on my blog. So I was just with Bob Saget and Jodie Sweetin last weekend, and I was with Lori Loughlin a couple weekends before that. So, you can always go to my blog, and if you're a fan or interested, I post all that kind of crazy, silly stuff a lot. But I love sharing that part of my life with my fans.
And I know that we all appreciate you for doing that as well. So thank you very much for that. One thing I wanted to ask you, though, because you grew up in an era where, television, I think, was still pretty good, and it's changed so much as time has gone on, as you know. And you were very fortunate, as you said, and blessed to work on a show that was just great, wholesome family entertainment. And the child stars of that era tended to be more grounded than, say, compared to child stars of today. And what do you think that the difference is between then and now in terms of, why some child stars have kind of gone down different paths, so to speak, and it's been harder for them to be grounded and have normal lives?
Well, of course we don't know. There's still child stars that are on television now, but they're still kids, and they're going through it. So we don't know what the outcome of all of them are. But, there's always, I think it has to do with the people that are around you, your support system, your parents, agents, managers, and what they're feeding you, basically, what they're pouring into you and talking to you about behind the scenes and what their priorities are. Also, social media today is making it much tougher for kids that are in the industry because everything is spotlighted. We didn't have Twitter and Facebook and even paparazzi and shows like TMZ that are documenting everything that we were doing at the time, and I'm very grateful for that. Although I'm someone who now I love social networking and I'm very involved, but I'm an adult, so I can understand its ramifications if it's not used properly. But that puts a whole new pressure on kids and teens that are in the industry today. So if you don't have a good support system around you, you can fall pretty hard and pretty fast.
Yeah, so very true. Now, many, as you know, well, first of all, I want to say Happy Mother's Day to you. I know it's belated, but, many who follow you know you're happily married and you're a mom of 3 kids, and I'm a mom of 3 myself. Mine are much older than yours, though.
Oh.
So, I hope you had a wonderful day yesterday. Oh, thank you. Well, one thing I was curious about, have your children actually seen Full House? And if so, what do they think of their mom as DJ Tanner?
Oh, they've definitely seen Full House. And my 15-year-old daughter loves the show. She just kind of started watching it again this year, and she's like, Mom, this is really funny. And it's hysterical that all the 80s and 90s style clothing is back in style today.
Yeah.
So there's so many DJ Tanner references on that alone. So my daughter doesn't think I'm quite as dorky as she used to because her friends, want to dress like I used to dress.
Oh, it's just hilarious, it's because she's still too young yet to realize that style does recycle about every 20 years. And, and it's interesting how I've had to tell my children, who are, 22 and 18 and 15, and, oh, well, that was in style back then, and they're like, really? And to them it's new, but to me it's like, oh, I'm kind of chuckling to myself when my youngest daughter will go pick out something, and it's like, you do not realize how retro modern this is. So,
I know. So true.
So, well, have any of your children shown interest in following in your footsteps?
Well, my daughter, she might. She's done a handful of commercials and all that stuff when she was younger. She's in high school now, and she realized that she loves just being around her friends and being in musical theater more than auditioning right now for television shows and stuff like that. But when she gets older, she might change her mind. My boys, though, they're very into sports. They play hockey like their dad. They're on travel hockey teams, so they have no interest in the entertainment industry. But either way, whatever our kids' passions are to pursue, we want to just support them. So I have no. I wouldn't fight it at all if my kids want to be in the entertainment industry, just because I love it, and I would help them just navigate it so they would be protected and hopefully successful if that's what they wanted to pursue.
Oh, that's great. It is well known how passionate you are about your family and your faith, which is incredibly admirable, for anyone, but especially for someone like yourself who has chosen the entertainment business as their profession. And, it can be so cutthroat. And how have you handled this along the way, from making the choices of what projects you were going to pursue to, just handling all, sometimes the pressure, I imagine, that comes with being in this business?
Yeah, being a Christian, sometimes I'll step back and go, why am I in this crazy industry? Because it's not the easiest one to be in, but I think anyone who is strong in their faith, no matter what they do, there's always pressure somewhere. It's not just the entertainment industry, but
yeah.
I'm passionate about what I do, and I love it. And no matter what I was doing, if I wasn't an actress, my faith, carries out in everything that I do as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, in all of my choices. So, it wouldn't be any different if I were in a different field of work, that those kinds of choices and decisions would play out in my life. And so, it does make it a little bit more challenging in the projects that I choose. My choices are much more limited, but that's by my own choice, by the boundaries that I've placed on myself as to what I will and won't do. And so it in that sense, it's not a difficult thing since I'm making those choices myself. But as a woman who loves working and loves entertaining people, it is harder to say no or to a lot of things and miss out on certain opportunities that could be great in one aspect but might not be in another, or might compromise my own moral values. And so, but again, I don't think it's anything that everyone in the world doesn't face and challenge. It's just different circumstances.
Yeah. Well, I must tell you, you and your brother, Kurt, are to be applauded and commended for how you have taken such a passionate and inspiring stance on your faith. And, it's reflected in your work, in your lives, and, and the fact that you both have families, you're committed to your marriages. I mean, that speaks so many volumes to so many people. It's so inspiring, especially when you have a lot of that doesn't seem to exist in this industry in particular. And, it's kind of across the board, but, because this industry is more public and focused and paparazzi focused, it's, people know more about it. And it's so reassuring and refreshing and inspiring, to be able to see that there are people out there who have put their faith first, and that, everything else hinges and centers around that faith. That the faith is what grounds you, and that's just so enlightening and so so inspiring to so many people, and that's why so many people love you guys, because of what you believe in, and you're true to yourself, and you don't compromise who you are or your faith for the sake of a role, which I think is awesome. So thankful that you guys are that way. Now, given you both have crazy work schedules, do you guys ever get to see each other? Do you see each other often?
You mean me
you
and
my Kurt, yes.
My brother? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know what? We not as much as I would love to, and we don't live terribly far from each other. But between my 3 kids and his 6 kids, and then his travel schedule, because I know he's on a tour for marriage conferences that he puts on, and between my filming schedule, it's pretty nuts that the amount of times that we see each other within a year is silly, considering, we live 45 minutes from one another. But it's hard. Yeah. It's hard with any family once you have kids, because the schedules get crazy. And then even with sports and with school, and then if you add any kind of travel into the mix, forget about it.
Yeah. I can appreciate that all too well, and it feels like sometimes, even though you think, well, the kids are spaced far apart in age, you just still, you feel like sometimes you're in all kinds of directions. It's just incredible, how stretched thin you become, and yet you still, you manage to somehow retain that resilience. I don't know how it happens. It must be a special mom thing. I don't know.
I think we're
not, That's right. So, one thing I'm curious about, could we, could the fans ever expect to see you and Kurt in a project at some point, starring both of you, or doing something like a conference together, or just something that, kind of expounds on your faith?
Yeah, we don't have anything that's planned right now, but it's something that we're both always open to, and if the right project comes along, or the right type of conference to do together, we would love to do that. And so I wouldn't rule it out for some point in the future. I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Well, we would, as fans and a fan of you guys for a long time, I think I speak for many when I say we would love for that to happen. So hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed that will, and do a lot of praying about it as well. So now I want to talk a little bit about your newest project, because you are starring in the world premiere of Finding Normal on VMC TV, which airs this coming Saturday, May 18th. So if you can, tell us a little bit about what this movie is all about.
Yeah, well, I play Dr. Lisa Leland, and she is on her way. She's driving from L.A. to the Hamptons to go meet up with her boyfriend, and, she just doesn't have the best bedside manner. She's not, she's just, I think, very self-involved, self-focused. So she gets stuck, though, in this little tiny town on her trip, and she has a fine to pay for some speeding tickets that she's not able to, and because of that, she gets sentenced to 3 days of community service in this town, and in order to pay off her debt. And through the time that she's there, she really starts to see life from a different perspective, because she's a fast-paced city girl, and she gets thrown into a little southern town with no Wi-Fi, no lattes, no credit cards. And so it gets her thinking, even though she's had her whole life mapped out for herself, she starts to realize or think about whether this is the life that God has planned for her. And so she starts to see the difference in these people in this town that are much more faith-filled and family-focused, and so she reevaluates her life.
It's interesting, because when I was reading the synopsis for this movie, I was thinking that very thing. I was thinking, it really does lend itself to the fact that, we can go along and we can do all the planning in life that we want, but if God has a different plan for us and a different detour, if you will, for how he wants us to go, it's going to happen. And there's no amount of, pleading, begging, changing, and sometimes we have to be thrown into the most unusual circumstances, unexpected of circumstances, to be able to really see the picture. And otherwise we may not always see, we may miss it. But
absolutely.
And the other thing that I found very interesting is that the setting for this movie takes place in the fictional town called Normal, which is ironically in South Carolina, which is where I was born and raised, currently reside. And would you happen to know, I know that it was filmed in Columbia, Louisiana, and so by comparison to, say, the setting of the movie, is Columbia, Louisiana, like a really small town as well? Is there a comparison there, perhaps?
Yes, it was a super small town. It just has just over 300 people that live in it, and I'm not kidding you. When we drove into this town, I was with one of the local people, and she said, and here's our town, and I looked at it, and it was maybe a half a block, and I went, is this a real working town? Like people, she's like, yes, ma'am, it is. It was so small, but man, the people that lived there were so excited that we were shooting the film there, and so they rallied for us. They loved having us there, and there weren't any hotels nearby. There was like one restaurant for us to eat at, and people gave up their homes for the few weeks that we were there so that the cast and crew could stay within the town to help stay true to our schedule, just because it was kind of in the middle of nowhere. So it was a little shocker for me too, because I am a city girl. I'm born and raised in LA, but sweet people.
Well, as we say in the South, I can certainly tell you that that is one of those towns that if you blink, you'll miss it. It's kind of one of those you pass through and you may not ever realize it was a full-fledged town. And so I take it that there were no, Starbucks, no lattes, places you could go get a real coffee. It was, virtually non-existent. So
I learned. I was just going to say I learned, or I discovered what French press coffee, how great it really is, because that's what we ended up drinking, because there was no little shops to go get a latte on the way, but that was like the best. We could find the best roast and do French press every morning. So spoiled.
That was probably the closest thing to gourmet that you would find, and it really does, I know when I've traveled to other places and sometimes you don't have the comforts and the amenities of home that you're accustomed to. Like for us in the South, one of our big staples is sweet tea. And, but you go outside of North Carolina and the deep South and you start going even as far into, close as Virginia, which is our neighboring state, they really look at you weird when you ask for sweet tea or you ask for iced tea, and everything's unsweetened, so it's just, that's foreign. And then you get home and it's like, I want the biggest glass of iced tea I can find. And, it's just the little things that you really take for granted. But I think when you go other places and you realize things are different or they don't, other places don't have what you're used to, it really does make you appreciate it all the more.
It sure does.
And I think in a sense, too, it lets us know just how spoiled we've become in terms of how accommodating how well we have it and how blessed we are and all the things that we've been given and, and that we tend to take for granted because it's always at our fingertips and we have it, So I think sometimes it really pays for us to step out of our comfort zone so that we really can get a real good glimpse of, what other people in other places deal with on a daily basis, which is their normal, and, because everyone's normal is different, depending upon where you live and what your circumstances are. It's different for everyone. So,
so true.
The movie it sounds like a phenomenal movie, and and I'm really excited because here in North Carolina, one of the biggest hit television shows was the Andy Griffith Show, and it was based off of a fictional town called Mayberry, and Mayberry was the inspiration for a town in North Carolina called Mount Airy, which is probably a little bit larger than Columbia, Louisiana, but not by much.
Right.
So, and just those small towns sometimes have the most charm and appeal to them, and so I think that this is going to be a great movie. And one of the things I was curious about, because, to play a surgeon of all things in this movie, which gives it a nice twist considering really your character is really having to step out of her comfort zone. But did you have to do any kind of preparation, for the movie? Did you have to actually, do your homework on surgeons or the medical profession in order to make the character more believable, or was it just simply a matter of stepping out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, thankfully I didn't have to do much as a surgeon. There was just a few little scenes in it where I had to kind of handle some of the props and act like a doctor. But we had a woman that was a nurse that was on set, so she was showing me how to use everything properly. But it was pretty basic stuff, so I was okay. I was in the clear.
Well, I am so impressed with you and everything that you've accomplished, and we so enjoy you on television, on screen, no matter where you are. And so we want to thank you so much for spending a little of your time with us today, and enjoy the rest of your day. And best wishes to you for much continued success.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and you have a great week, too. Thanks for the interview.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, and take care. God bless.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. You have just been listening to our interview with Candace Cameron Bure that we did earlier in the week, and she was such a delight to speak with. And I do apologize that we're not able to have her live on air tonight. She has been doing a press junket all week, basically a nationwide tour to promote her movie Finding Normal, which premieres a little bit later this evening on DMC TV. So check your local listings for the time. But it sounds like a great movie, and if I can get off air in time tonight, I'm going to watch it myself. So looking very, very forward to that. But it was just a great opportunity to speak with her and a real pleasure and honor. And so we want to extend a huge thank you to her for being our special guest. And so that is pretty much going to wrap our show. I hope that you'll get a chance to check out the movie tonight, Finding Normal. And also you can follow Candace on Twitter at Candace C. Bure. She also has a website. I mean, she is all over the place. So check her out and see all the great things that she's doing. She's just a phenomenal person, and what a rare opportunity to have her on our show. So we are very, very blessed by that and by her visit with us. So with that, I'm going to say good night. I hope that you enjoy the remainder of your weekend, and thank you so much for being here and tuning in. If you're a first-time listener, thank you so very much. Welcome aboard, and we definitely hope that you will be back again in the near future. So with that, I wish everyone a great night, and take care all. Good night, and God bless.